Hi, and welcome back to ED621A Backwards Design Curriculum Development. We're on Module 2 now. You've finished unpacking your standards and writing learning objectives, and now we're going to be looking at the big ideas, enduring understandings, and essential questions of your lesson and ultimately your unit. So for this module, our goal is that you demonstrate how the big idea, enduring understandings, and essential questions inform the creation of curriculum, which will be evident in the creation of your lesson. Show evidence of how enduring understandings and essential questions guide and focus effective lessons, and you'll be doing that too when you're attaching things to the transfer goals and the learning objectives. Objectives for this module: using the worksheet provided, write out the thematic ideas and concepts that lead to the big idea, the UBD lesson. So be looking at the big idea of your lesson. Identify the enduring understandings for the UBD lesson based on the big idea and content standards, and design and align probing essential questions that will guide the UBD lesson toward integration of the enduring understandings and big idea / big idea. Your tasks are to read, watch, and use the resources provided in this module. Read UBD chapters 5 and 6, please. Complete Module 2 of the Checking for Understanding. The Module 2 Checking for Understanding. Complete the Big Idea worksheet, which is actually one of your products. And product using the UBD template you've already started. Identify and define at least 3 enduring understandings that tie into the big idea, and create 3 to 5 essential questions that are also aligned with the UBD unit lesson. Add these to your lesson template. It's best to align the essential questions with the objectives you design so you don't create a scope of work that is too large. Remember, you're working on a small lesson. It can be more than 15 to 45 minutes. Of course, it depends on your grade level. Submit this assignment in the assignment drop box by the due date, and you'll get feedback, and you can make revisions as long as you've done that. So now let's take a look at what it means to design essential questions and enduring understanding. So a little review. The backwards approach to curriculum design. Backward design may be thought of as a purposeful task analysis. Given a task to be accomplished, how do we get there? And this is exactly what you're doing. You're deconstructing the whole curriculum development process. You're looking at what curriculum developers have to do to create these massive products you get in your schools that give you a curriculum, and you're just making a very tiny one. And it's a great experience to be able to do and work through this process, because you'll have a deeper appreciation not only of commercial curriculum, but you will be much more fluent in creating your own when if you need to. And we can also call it planned coaching, which is a term that I love. What kinds of lessons and practices are needed to master the key performances? So how are you going to access your kids' skills and abilities to help them learn what it is that will take them out of the school doors and into the world at large? So when you're working with backward design, you're thinking with the end in mind. You're starting with assessment. We're thinking like assessors. You'll hear this throughout this course and this whole set of courses. Backwards design differs from traditional approaches to designing curriculum. Instead of planning activities or tasks first, you begin with how and what will be assessed. What are you going to assess? What is the transfer goal? What are the learning objectives? How are you going to assess if the students have made it there? That's where you start, and then we confuse the Cheshire Cat by creating the path going backwards. Stage 1, identify desired results. So, because this is still a review, you create the elements of design. You've done your transfer goals. You've established knowledge and skills, your learning objectives, and now we're looking at the essential questions and enduring understandings. So these are the key elements of the curriculum. So transfer goals are typically based on national, state, or local standards. You know this. Often represent specific content objectives that must be met for a particular grade level or subject. You know this. Knowledge and skills, learning objectives, are objectives that students should be able to know and do. Specific content, knowledge, and skills. And now we're looking at enduring or essential questions. So, essential questions are open-ended. They're thought-provoking and interpretive at the heart of a subject or curriculum. They make you think. They make you want to find out more. It's like the more you know, the more you know you don't know, how are you going to find it out? They are at the core of your content and often leads to or requires further investigation. They have no obvious right answer. They raise more questions often than you started with and address concepts that are key to the discipline. What's nice about this and raise more questions is that you can actually set up a table, a chart paper where you table questions, and you know that it's not quite on the path that you're trying to create, but it's still a good question. And so you have your good questions chart, and you can come back to it, and maybe you can find some other tangential piece that will come and address it. So don't let those other questions that don't seem to apply to your content languish. Put them somewhere where the students can access them and where you too can access them. They can be overarching or topical, unit specific in scope, and for the most part you'll be creating topical ones, but you may have some overarching essential questions. Examples. The first one is, of course, overarching. Why write? What if writing didn't exist? What a great way to start a writing unit. How am I connected to people in the past? Immigration. Should the majority always rule? What is this thing about voting? What is the democratic process? Does everybody have the democratic process? Should everyone be expected to work? Well, that's a good question. How do we find patterns? How do we measure matter? These are all big questions. They're provocative. They hook a person or a student into thinking about what it is you're learning or the content that you're guiding them towards. You're kind of nudging them toward. So if you look at this, we have examples of essential questions on the left and non-essential questions on the right. The essential questions are all very broad. Oops, I use a different. How do the arts shape as well as reflect a culture? What do effective problem solvers do when they get stuck? Boy, that's a math question at all sorts of levels. And this is where you can put up an anchor chart and you can talk about what are the things you do, or maybe not math, maybe science, maybe even social studies actually. How strong is the scientific evidence? That is a great question. Is there ever a just war? How can I sound more like a native speaker? Well, that's a good question. Is that really an essential question? It might be. Who is a true friend? So these questions are unanswerable. They have to be uncovered. They have to be investigated and sorted through to get an understanding of them. Whereas on the right side, you see questions that they have final answers. It won't take long to get the answer. You can probably find it in the book. But all of these are not essential questions. These are tiny questions. If you have tiny questions, it's probably not an essential question. If you can answer it by looking in a book, it's probably not an essential question. What common artistic symbols were used by the Incas and the Mayas? What steps did you follow to get your answer? What is a variable in scientific investigations, and so forth? So all of these are, who was Maggie's best friend in the story? Oh, it was Sophia. Well, okay, we're done. That is not an investigative question. So to find essential questions, there is a practical approach to doing it. You don't have to just pull them out of thin air. There's actually a process. A practical approach is to derive essential questions from your standard. You can take the standard from your lesson and identify the key nouns that recur, the important concepts that are in it, and make them the basis of questions. In this strategy, you are creating an interrogative from a declarative sentence. So like we created questions, or maybe you didn't, but you could have turned your standard into a question in order to get your transfer goals. You can do the same thing to get essential questions. You can take those questions from your standard and use them to create essential questions, but with a little different focus. So here's an example. Life science standard. All students will apply an understanding of cells to the functioning of multicellular organisms, including how cells grow, develop, and reproduce. So you see that cells are the running theme throughout this standard, and so clearly it's about cellular construction. It can lead to mineral cellular construction, it can lead to plant cellular construction, it can lead to mammal cellular construction, it can lead to alien cellular construction. I mean, there's so many ways you can go about it. These are really the essential questions. How can we prove that cells make up living things? If we were all made up of cells, why don't we all look alike? And when I say cellular construction, that's the big idea. Or essential question, how do scientists prove things? So once again, that's the overarching. You can go to biology, you can go to anatomy, you can go to physiology, you can go to so many different types of science just with these essential questions. And they're great lead-ins to units. So find a few good questions. If they are truly essential, they will assist you to establish priorities and help uncover the key big ideas. And I will show you that in the module content. I'm going backwards this time. So you might do the big ideas first, you might do essential questions first. Do not state questions that you do not intend to actively investigate through discussion, research, problem solving, or other means. So if you can go to a book and answer the question, these are not essential questions. And then we're looking at enduring understandings, which are more related to the big ideas. They anchor the lesson unit. Why is this topic worth studying? Are the big ideas that can be transferred made into statements? The students will understand X, and that X has to be uncovered. It has to be like the cellophane has to be taken off layer by layer, the layers of the onion. It's kind of an old analogy. Require uncoverage of abstract or misunderstood ideas, and they reveal the big ideas, these enduring understandings. And they answer the question, what do we want students to understand and be able to use several years from now after they have forgotten the details? So what do you want students to understand or remember about cellular construction? If it was just one thing they walked out the door with that actually had a relationship with something they knew in the world, what would it be? So an example of an enduring understanding comes from law. The big idea in this particular case is rights, or are. Big ideas are rights and due process. And these provide a conceptual unifying lens. And the unit in the study refers to the development of Magna Carta in 1215. And you can show them a picture of it in the, I think it's the Tower of London or somewhere in around that area in England. You want the students to understand that, and here's the enduring understanding. Written laws specify the limits of a government's power and articulate the rights of individuals, such as due process. King John was very forward-looking. So the idea is that they understand that the laws really have a function, that they limit the power of the government so that it doesn't take over, doesn't roll over human rights. It's all about civil rights. They are typically abstract and not obvious. They require uncoverage through sustained inquiry and coaching, as we've talked about already, rather than one-shot coverage. Understandings are not facts. Enduring understandings are not facts. If you have written factually based questions or statements in your enduring understandings, I will give you feedback that says so. You need to look at things that lead people to inquiry and lead people to understand a larger concept, a larger facet of our life. So here's a whole page full of enduring understandings based on some of the things we've looked at earlier in this PowerPoint. So and they can be, actions have consequences, can be civics, it can be social emotional learning. I'm just using this as an example. In other words, enduring understandings really can apply to many different situations. And then your job as the teacher is to pull the students into the direction that you want to go, down that path that you're trying to confuse the Cheshire Cat with. So the process that I encourage you to use, but you're not required, is to brainstorm as many essential questions or other as possible regarding the lesson topic. Any questions at all, just throw them down on a piece of paper. Choose the ones that best suit the transfer goal or goals that they are aligned with. And also that really are, now we're looking at essential questions, EQs right here, right? The questions that are provocative and investigative. Add them to your lesson template. And then step back mentally and think of the really big idea that these questions are all stemming from and leading to. And that's based on your worksheet, which I'll go over with you in a minute. You will already have kind of sketched out your big idea, and then draft a statement or actually make a list addressing the enduring understandings of your UBD lesson, and then add those enduring understandings to your template. They should be relatively short. They can be as short as a 2-word cellular construction or due process, but actually they need to have a little more context in the sentence than that. But you get the idea, I hope. If you don't, call me, I'll talk to you, or email me. Submit your updated template anytime before the due date. I'll get back with you with feedback. Please make sure to read the text and read the content in the module, which I'll review with you quickly. They will add useful detail. Believe me, I can always tell when somebody is not watching the screencasts or not reading books, because it's like there's a big question mark in their thinking and it isn't showing up as understanding. So I will always help you, and I am your coach as well. Don't send the assignments by emails, please. Check the assignments on the blackboard. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and show you what's in our module, and then we'll be done for module 2. So this particular screencast will be right there. The big idea came from Wiggins and McTighe book, and it is basically, it gives you an examination of what the big idea is and does. And that's what we're asking you to think about while you're developing your enduring understandings and extracting your essential questions. You saw the enduring understanding word clouds in the PowerPoint. This is a really excellent and very short video on what are enduring understandings. I really like this video. Another essential questions word cloud. And then there's an article that you do need to read called How to Make Questions Essential, right? Your questions essential. And this is a really delightful article. It was written just before Grant Wiggins died, I think. So, and even for reading, you have an anchor chart. So this is a very good article to spend time on. Designing Essential Questions Enduring Understanding. This is a resource. This is a PowerPoint, but it is a resource. And what it is my PowerPoint for what I just did. I'm looking at the wrong thing then. Please be the right thing. No, it's not the right thing. Okay. I'll get to it. There it is. So then, Grant Wiggins has 2 videos on essential questions. They are related. They're just in 2 parts, and they're short. And there's a text that is also short that talks about essential questions. So really getting into this, digging into this essential questions and uncovering it, and getting an understanding what essential questions really mean and look like. An outstanding last video of Alaskan enduring understandings. This is done by students. It's relatively short. It's very interesting and very worth the time to spend watching it. Now, cross-content examples for essential questions. This is what I was looking for before. Essential questions, content area examples. This is just a resource. It's not any kind of, I didn't do any presentation on this. You have essential questions in history, in social studies, math, language arts, science, and the arts. And you can just look at these and see if you think they're useful. And also take this with you. Put this in your little content backpack and take it with you to section B. I'll include it in section B2, and I will hope to remember to do that, and use it for when your multidisciplinary unit, when you're pulling up new standards and you need some new essential questions to support those standards. So yes, she said. I'm lost. Okay, in module 2. All right, so I've showed you the PowerPoint. There's a lovely spelling of articulating, which I will fix. Creating enduring understandings with Common Core State Standards. And this is just a very short 3-pager about creating them with like anybody who's in Anchorage is using the Common Core State Standards. Anybody in Alaska is using Alaska Core Standards, which are almost identical with just a few differences for legal purposes. 25 questions for inspiration. What I love about this is it's updated daily. And so you can look at these essential questions. It's cross content, and you can just use them, come back as often as you like. It's a really great resource for doing understandings. What I want from you is now, there's the example. Everything in black is what you did last in Module 1. I'm always leaving this red only because two things. I have to remember to remind you to fill out the materials section, and also that we want content area and topic lesson and the grade level for sure, plus your name, of course, because this helps me get a grip or a good understanding of what you're trying to do in your lesson. So what you're going to submit on your template are just these two sections. Please submit them in red like this with everything else in black. And that will be your assignment here. You'll do the Checking for Understanding Module 2 and the Big Idea Worksheet. So the Big Idea Worksheet is, I'll do this first. On the template, examples for the template, I want to show you. And you will look at these at your own because this is pretty small print. The way it's looking right now is that there are two grade levels and the content is the same, measurement and measurement, but there's grade level 5 and grade level 6. And you're going to look at each of these and I hope that you will notice, I would like you to notice that there's very big differences between what you expect from a 5th grader and a 6th grader when it comes to the big idea of measurement. So the theme is measurement. What is the value of it? And for a 5th grader, it looks really different than a 6th grader. So those are the exemplars or the examples. And what you're going to submit to me is the worksheet in this particular Dropbox. I put them just there for you. Why study nutrition? So what? And so you answer that question here. What makes the study of nutrition? That's my topic unit. Universal. Put your answer here. If the unit on nutrition is a story, what's the moral of the story? And you write your moral here. So you just complete the sheet. And this is basically an examination of the big idea of your lesson to become a unit. So we want you to look at the big ideas and just put them in here. Put the Enduring Understandings and Essential Questions in here and complete the Checking for Understanding. So enjoy this part of the process. I find this to be really, truly an enjoyable section. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And as soon as you're done with these, we'll move on to Module 3, where we are going to look at the assessments. So enjoy this section, and I will talk to you soon.